All right, let's now speak to political analyst Dr. Levy Ndou on government of national unity, as well as some of the developments as the country now knows that that cabinet will be announced at 9 p.m. this evening. Doctor, a very good afternoon to you. Always great to have you with us. So your reaction to our breaking news. Finally, there is headway. The president will be announcing his cabinet members at 9 p.m. this evening.
Good afternoon, Alicia. Good afternoon to the viewers at home. Indeed, the long wait is over, and it is exactly what everybody has been waiting for. But of course, there are lessons out of this, that negotiations are not very easy, and for different political parties to work together, it requires resilience, it requires accommodating each other, but also at the same time, this is the moment that we've been waiting for. All what we need to get is who then has to be given responsibilities to move South Africa forward.
Doctor, speaking of those lessons that needed to be learned, I mean, the issue of communication, right up until this point, a lot of people were speculating about issues that we also didn't have much intel on in terms of the information that is at our disposal. So going forward, when you speak about lessons learned, how do you feel or think the new formed GNU should then be able to communicate upon agreements as well as some of the talks or deliberations amongst itself in the near future, just to allay any confusion as well as speculation?
One of the issues, in my view, that members of the Government of National Unity has to deal with will be communication in terms of who has to communicate the decisions of the Government of National Unity and who has that authority to do so. But also at the same time, I also expect the highest level of transparency on the part of those that are participants in the Government of National Unity. What has been a problem when political parties are working together would be that some of the agreements that they will make would not be made known to the general public. And my view is that all those that are part of the GNU should find ways and means to sit down, compile these agreements, make everybody know what they've agreed upon, so that when they fail or when other parties go against the agreement, all of us will be able to know that these are the people that are making the GNU fail. Because the suspicion that I have is that some could be going into the GNU with hidden agenda, without the program to service the people, and such should be exposed so that as we move forward, we should know what are the rules and responsibilities of those that are participating in the Government of National Unity.
Doctor, you know, there was much speculation around whether or not the president will, in fact, be able to exercise his sole discretion as afforded by the Constitution to actually make those certain cabinet appointments. So speaking to our political editor, Mzwandile Mbeje, a short while ago, he seems to be of the view that any issues, outstanding issues that were, of course, causing these delays between the ANC as well as the DA seem to be, of course, sorted out. So do you feel that we are going to get a cabinet that is well representative of of course, the representation of those parties within the government itself?
My view is that we are going to get the cabinet that is going to have members coming from the different political parties. But the biggest possibility is that not all political parties could be represented in cabinet. What, in my view, could be another option would be that those that could not be able to get cabinet positions can still be given responsibilities in other key government institutions. There are a lot of responsibilities that some can still get in Parliament as chairpersons of different portfolio committees and in other governance establishment in the country. But what I fully expect is that there should be a clear representation of those that have been elected in parliament and who are also active participants of the government of national unity. What I also expect is that even those that are outside the government of national unity could still be invited and be included in the running of government, provided they are willing to do so.
And Doctor, I'm sure you've seen there's been quite a lot of disputes or controversial appointments when it comes to the local or provincial legislatures and some of those appointments there. So do you think that we might see something similar when the president finally announces those members at 9 p.m. this evening?
My sense is that President Ramaphosa always talk about laying of the foundation for good governance in South Africa. I expect from President Ramaphosa to appoint people that are going to continue, who would ensure that the foundation that is built is actually working towards ensuring that there is progress in the institutions that have been built. My view also is that the time to treat people that have not been performing with soft gloves should be over for President Ramaphosa. I expect him to be very firm on his ministers, but what should be the beginning factor would be to appoint right people to be able to run these departments. And I expect him not to go for favors, even to those who are members of this party. But I think at this stage, what is required is delivery of services and ensure that there is good governance in South Africa.
And of course, we all trust and we're hopeful in the process. So now, Doctor, what is your thinking around the parties that have been left out or not included as part of the GNU? We know that, of course, it might have been a little too late for the EFF, which had sent a letter of reconsideration to the ANC in terms of also trying to see if they can actually work together under this government. So what would then be their focus or should be their focus as they take the opposition stance?
All of us in South Africa have been putting a lot of pressure on President Ramaphosa to appoint cabinet. At the same time, there were a lot of negotiations that were going on with different political parties. Others were joining slowly, and others like the EFF and BOSA have only started negotiating only over this weekend. My view is that it is not only about being in cabinet. It is not only about when did you participate or when did you get an interest into being part of the government of national unity. There are many other areas where these political parties could be given responsibilities to fully participate in the activities of the government of national unity. And my view is that apart from the appointments in cabinet, they can still be able to make a huge contribution. I also feel that those that could not be actively participating in the GNU, they can still be able to provide very good proposals and views to government, because at this stage, it is no longer about political parties, it is about patriotism and how then to contribute to make South Africa forward. And my view is that as they move forward, these political parties should always be able to find ways and means to accommodate each other, work together and ensure that indeed ordinary citizens become the beneficiaries of the 7th administration.
Absolutely, Doctor. And in closing, I was going to say, just in reference to finding each other there, I mean, let's talk about, as the GNU takes shape, what should be some of the most critical issues that they need to prioritize in order to instill that faith to the citizens that they are generally working in their best interests?
Musi Maimane of BOSA talk about having a discussion of all political parties that are participating in the GNU so that they are able to shape the way forward. I would refer all political parties to go back to their manifestos, because when I look at the manifestos of these political parties, they all talk about the same issues. My view is that they should bring all their manifestos on the table, and they all develop a program of action on how do they deal with the issues that they've been talking about during the elections. And if they're able to agree on joint programs on how these challenges can be achieved, that should be the step in the right direction, because working together requires cooperation from all these political parties represented in Parliament.
And absolute tolerance amongst those parties as well. Doctor, as always, thank you so much for joining us for this debate. Hopefully, we'll be talking to you again tomorrow when that cabinet has finally been announced by President Cyril Ramaphosa at 9 p.m. this evening. Do not forget that the SABC will definitely bring you those live proceedings here. That was Dr. Levy Ndou, political analyst, weighing in on the GNU as well as the announcement of cabinet.